Hello, everybody. Hello, 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 and welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm Dan, your friendly fishmonger at dansfish.com. Trying to get my mic cord adjusted here. It's kind of pulling on my shirt funny. The perils of doing a live stream. Anyway, thanks for being with us. We do this every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. That's 9 Eastern for those that might be mountain challenged. And we talk about aquariums and aquarium fish. So if that's something you're into, you're in the right spot. If you're not, this is not the car repair channel. It's not the baking channel. But you're welcome to hang out anyway, if you're a gearhead or a muffin head. All right, let's get to our shipping report. After that, I'll tell you about a giveaway. It's a pretty special fish. And then we have some neat things listed that came in recently. Then we'll get to your questions and comments. So that is what we are going to talk about tonight. So let me check here. I sent a text to Johnny finding out how current we are. Okay. So we there's one fish that did not survive transit that wasn't listed until a few minutes ago on our sheet that calculates all that, and we ran the numbers like, I don't know, an hour ago. So there's one fish that's missing from this report. It'll be caught up on the next report. So as of what we have on the report, we've gone up quite a bit. Last week we were at 98.89%, and we are now at 98.91%. That's the success rate shipping fish to our customers over the last 12 months rolling. If we look at the 3-month total, we are at 99.23% success rate. So we're getting better all the time. Our goal is 99% on a 12-month rolling basis. So we've crossed the 99 percentile if we look at the 3-month, but we aren't quite there on the 12-month, on the year total yet. So hopefully we get there. We're on our way up. So next week we'll add the one that just wasn't added in time for us to calculate it in our shipping percent, because it arrived a little too late. But that's okay. It gives you an idea, right? So that's the number of fish that arrived alive to our customers and in hardy shape. So that's how we calculate that. If a customer gets a fish and they report that, ooh, that doesn't look so good, or ooh, that died the next day, or something like that, we count that as a loss. But if the fish arrives alive and seemingly in good shape, and we don't hear from that there's been any problems within a couple days, then we count that as a win. So that's what that report is. So 98.91% of the fish we have shipped over the last 12 months have arrived in good shape for our customers. With that in mind, let's move on to our giveaway. I love this fish. This is one, I think it's such an interesting little, almost oddball loricarid. So this is the Pitbull Pleco, sometimes called the hummingbird pleco. There's several names for it, the goby pleco. But what it is, if you ask me, is it looks like and behaves like a pleco, a cory, and an autosynclus had a wild night together, and this was the result. That's what they're so unique. Pleco type body, but also autosynclus type body. You know it's not an autosynclus though, because it has this adipose fin back here. This kind of second, the dorsal fin's here, and here's the adipose fin. Kind of like a miniature second dorsal. Autosynclus do not have this fin. The genus is Parautosynchus, and the species is jumbo. I'm not sure why. They top out at less than 2.5 inches, something like that. Not a large fish. Their behavior is really interesting. So these guys are not aggressive with each other. They are gregarious. They go around in big groups. Aquarium Glasser has some great pictures of them. Check these out. They go around in big groups. They're not aggressive to each other. One problem with a lot of plecos is there's a lot of combat, right? They can be really mean to each other, and some of the species will tear each other to shreds. These guys, they're like corridors in that they hang around in big groups. They're gregarious. So they look kind of like an Otto and a Pleco mix. They have an attitude of a Corridora. Their breeding is super easy. We've bred them many times here at Dan's Fish, and we don't put any effort into it. All we do is feed them, and the babies appear. They don't practice brood care from what I've seen. They just scatter the eggs out on the sandy bottom or in the plants, but they don't tend to bother them, and you can get a fair number of babies without much effort at all. Diet, these are mostly vegetarian. You can add a little protein to the diet, but plant-based foods, algae wafers and that kind of thing. We give them zucchini and some veggies as well. And every now and then we'll give them, some protein in the form of like, I don't know, a standard sinking pellet of some type. We also feed them occasionally frozen brine shrimp, occasionally frozen bloodworms, especially when they first come in, just to kind of get them eating. But mostly veggies in the diet. Hard to find fish, really fun, kind of an oddball lorocarid. And I think that if more people if your friend had a tank of these and you observed them for 10 minutes, you would be in love. But most people just don't know about them. They have, see all those little like spikes on the scales, kind of Pleco-like. Really interesting little fish. So that's what the giveaway is for. So if you would like to win these kind of oddball little catfish, again, it's like a Pleco, a Cory, and an Autocinclus all got together and had a baby, then enter hashtag Cory Pleco Auto. I know that's a long one, but I think it's fitting. Hashtag CORYPLECOOTO. Caps don't matter. There are no spaces. Cory Pleco Auto, all smushed together, no spaces, with the hashtag. And put that in the chat and you'll be entered to win. Yeah, people are getting it. Geek Boy got it. Joshua Corson got it. Okay, people are doing it. Yeah. I know it's a little more complex of a hashtag than normal, but it's the best way to describe that fish. It's a mix of those three species. And in my experience, hardy, peaceful, easy to care for. They don't bother other fish. They're a great citizen in a community aquarium. I don't think you're going to go wrong with them. Okay, a couple other things here. Just a moment. Find where we stop here. Okay. So, some nice things have been listed at dansfish.com. We do have more of the green laser Corridoras. The group is doing really well. People have been asking for different pseudomugils. We have some Ivanstoffi in, and they are great looking little fish. And this batch has been solid. I don't think we've lost any. They're doing really well for us. Stiphodon areofuscus, one of my absolute favorites. This is not, that color is real, that bright orange. When the male is feeling frisky, they get that really bright orange coloration on them. Here's a female, typical kind of striped, tiny bit of orange, but your typical kind of striped brown on brown fish with fairly clear fins. And then those are the males. So it's a fish we haven't had in quite a long time. It's one of the most popular gobies that we get. And if you haven't tried them, they're a ton of fun. Some more of the Alani Wapogas. This is the red form. Johannes Graf noticed that a small percentage of the ones they caught in the wild had a red top on them. And so he took those individuals and bred a red strain. which breeds maybe not 100% true, but more and more true all the time. And it's this nice red form that we have. So it takes the normal Chilothrina alleni wapoga and just adds a touch more color to it. Some L262 Stardust Plecos, some L66 King Tigers, some L280 Spiny Plecos. These are these tiny little guys, top out at, I don't know, 2 inches maybe a little bit bigger. And then some Coral Pattern or Candy Cane, whatever you want to call them. It's the L38s. Only a few of those. We don't have many of those. Some more Sexlineata Taboo Bills. This is the lipstick or pink-lipped rainbow. You can see that. It's got the pink lips right there. But you see it again there. I don't think that's its best feature, though. I like the bright gold coloration with the striations on the fish. So I think these are really pretty. Oh, look at those pink lips. Really pretty little fish. This nice, bright, gold coloration. And an iridescence on them as well. We have some more Glossolepis wanamensis and Glossolepis multisquamata, the green and red dragons respectively. This is one that I don't have great pictures of because these are large fish. They grow 5-6 inches, maybe even a little bigger. And they don't really start developing their color and their really neat finnage until 3-4 inches. And when I bring them in, they're only a couple of inches. So haven't been able to get pictures of them fully colored up or feathered out, finned out, but stunning fish with a little patience. There's the Pitbull Plecos and some more Corridors Equus. Not many, but just a few. And quite a few other things. I don't want to take the whole stream doing a sales pitch, but those are some of the things we haven't had. Some of those we haven't had in a long time, and people have been asking. So I thought it might be of interest to see that we have, like those Stiphodon areofuscus. It's one of those tanks I always stop at when I'm walking around the fish room because they're so pretty, they're so personable, they're little clowns. Just a favorite and difficult to get. Usually you order them and you end up with something else. So glad we finally got some of those in. Now we'll be having some more fish released over the next few days. There's several fish that are still in quarantine, and I'll talk to you about those as they become available. So next few days, more will become available, and next week I should be able to tell you about some more cool stuff that's ready to go. So that's kind of what's going on here at Dan's Fish. I do want to remind you guys we're having a barbecue 4th of July weekend, so we will open the Dan's Fish warehouse to the public on July 5th and 6th. So if you go to, well, let's just take you through the process here. If you go to Dan's Fish, which you know how to do because you're here watching the channel, and you hit the community tab, here is the information about that. And then here is some information about some cheap housing. It's available at the local college in the dorms if that's your style. And I need to do one more post where people that want to carpool together can comment and get in touch with other people that want to carpool if someone's making a road trip. So I will be posting that. But basically, come hang out. We've got 400 and some odd aquariums full of fish. Some of these fish I don't think you've probably ever seen. Some of them you might have only seen in magazines or never seen even in a magazine. And so I think it's worth a couple days to hang out and look at a bunch of neat fish, hang out with fish geeks and nerd out, basically, get to know each other and nerd out about the thing we love, which is aquariums, and we'll feed you. The food is free. So that's what we'll be doing. Along with showing some things. Last time we did a little, I don't know if you call it a workshop, but a little demonstration and contest. Showing how we seal the bags and have a little race to see who could do them the quickest. That was fun. Caitlin, our Chief Fish Health Officer, will be doing a little presentation showing some of the creepy crawlies we find, the nasty parasites and pathogens we find as we examine the fish and how we treat them. So she'll be talking about that a little bit. But mostly it's going to be casual, hang out, eat food, look at fish, chat, that kind of stuff. So that floats your boat. We'll start at 10 a.m. on the 5th of July, and again on the 6th of July. So the way that falls is 4th of July, right? I think what is the 4th of July? I think that's a Thursday. July 4th is a Thursday. So that's probably a day people have off work and they could travel. Get here. We'll open the warehouse on Friday and Saturday, the 5th and the 6th. And then Sunday is the 7th, a day to travel back. So I think the way we wanted to have the barbecue on the 4th itself, but the way the week panned out with the work week, it seemed like that wouldn't probably be ideal for people. So that's why we made it those 2 days. Anyway, hope to see you there if you can make it. If not, no big deal. It's just a casual get together with fish nerds. But last year it was a ton of fun and went pretty well. And this year, if it grows and goes a little better, then we might eventually turn it into a thing, like an actual thing with, you know, speakers and kind of like a little fish convention. But right now we're just having fun. So that's where we're at on that. Okay, let's get to your questions and comments and chat about fish with you. Before we do that, though, we want to thank our moderators. They show up week after week after week, some of them for years, moderating the chat and keeping this thing running smoothly. So thanks to all of you, much appreciated. And yeah, this would be a whole different thing without you guys. So thanks for being here and moderating. We appreciate it. Okay, with that, I'm going to scroll up and see what I can see. I see a lot of Corey Pleco auto entries. That's good. And the first comment I can see after that is Lady Rorschach. Someone local to me is rehoming a pair of red-eye puffers. What are your thoughts on a newbie to puffers like me for caring for them? Thank you. Okay, so is that the red-eye redtail? Let me see if we're, first I want to make sure that we're talking about the same thing. So it's a Carino tetraodon species. Rubenesco is the one I know. I call that the red-eyed red-tail puffer. But there are, let's see, red-eye puffer. Is it a different species? Okay, this person is calling the red-eye puffer a Rubenesco. Tails and Scales calls the red-eye puffer. Not a Rubesco. Okay, so I think we're talking about, if we're talking about Carino tetraodon Rubesco, then that is a puffer I have some experience with. Bob Steenfot over at Steenfot Aquatics, he and his lady have a lot more experience with that species than I do. So it might be worth tuning into their live stream and asking them about their experience. They might be able to give you more information than I can. But in my experience, they're an amazing fish. They weren't hard to keep and feed or anything like that, but they were vicious to each other. In my experience, they just tore each other apart. Now, Steenfont has a different experience. Theirs aren't tearing each other apart. So, like, I don't know why ours did and theirs didn't, but my experience with them was they were hardy, they were easy to feed, they were just really aggressive to each other. So that's my basic thought there. But lady, I would check in with Steenfont and see how they do it. They've successfully kept them long term together, and I never could. So they know something I don't. Random stranger on the internet. Just set up a 29-gallon aquarium after a few years out of the hobby. Welcome back, stranger. Added ammonia last Friday, added quick start bacteria. Noticed ammonia hasn't really gone down and not nitrite. And yeah, I can't say I'm surprised. A lot of those products, like the quick start bacteria and stuff, a lot of those don't work. In fact, I've got an entire video on cycling an aquarium where I talk about that. In my experience, the one I've tried that has worked is Dr. Tim's. So if that's a Dr. Tim's product, then, and it's not working for you, then I don't think his is called Quick Start though. Is it? Let me see. What's Dr. Tim's called? Quick Start. Yeah, his is called the One and Only. So what is Quick Start? What brand? I'm just curious. Aquarium bacteria. Oh, API, yeah. No shade on API, but I haven't had luck with Quick Start. Now, I haven't tried every product, and it's possible that things don't work for me that would work in a different setup. But basically what's happened with the nitrifying bacteria, and this is all in the video I released on cycling an aquarium. But basically, for a long time, they sold bottled bacteria without realizing it wasn't the right bacteria. It wasn't the right thing. So what happened is there was a PhD student at UC Santa Barbara, University of California, Santa Barbara, who is now Dr. Tim, and did his PhD research and graduate research on aquarium bacteria. He was a fish geek, and so he was looking at aquarium bacteria. And as he was doing that research, he discovered the bacteria that actually does nitrification transformation, shall we say, in aquariums, that converts nitrogenous waste down through the different steps to nitrate. And it was a different bacteria than that had been used forever and that everyone thought was the correct bacteria. So he was able to isolate that and grow it and turn it into a business. And now Dr. Tim's is a business selling that bacteria to people to quick start their aquariums along with other products. I've tried 3 or 4 over the years, maybe a few more, and never had good luck. Dr. Tim's is the only one I've had luck with. Now, maybe there are other brands I haven't tried that do work, but in my experience, it's just been Dr. Tim's. So 2 things. Do you have the right bacteria? I don't know which bacteria API uses, but I think Dr. Tim kind of has a patent and such on the correct one. Now, maybe that ran out and other companies now use it. I don't know, but it could be that you're simply using one of those products that is the wrong bacteria. Or it could be of the right bacteria, but something went wrong. So fishless cycling can happen, and it's fine to do. But it is a science experiment. You do have to set up the parameters, and you do have to do things correctly. And if I've definitely done fishless cycling before, just by adding ammonia to a tank and such, and been going through the different steps, and then made an error and like crashed the whole thing and had to start again. So there is definitely more margin of error, I would say, when you're doing it that way, because you have to be a chemist. You have to do the tests. You have to make sure that you have ammonia in there, but it can't be too much ammonia or you'll kill your nitrifying bacteria that you're trying to grow. And it can't be too little or they'll starve. And there are other things like that where the parameters need to be just so. So I think it's a little more difficult. That's my thoughts on that, though. So basically, here's my favorite way to cycle an aquarium. Get it set up and running. The heat is stable, the filters are going, all that. Let it run. And I would turn the light on and maybe leave it on 24/7 for a while. And pretty soon you'll start getting a little bit of algae growing in there. Ew, algae? Yes, that's great. That means there's life in the aquarium. That's perfect. So then what I like to do is get a bunch of snails. I have tons of like pond snails and ram's horn snails in tanks around. So for me, it's easy, but I get a bunch of snails and put them in the tank. Why? Because they're free, because I can just grab them out of another tank. They're super hardy. They're a very low order organism, right? They're not a complex organism. They can handle changes in parameters of nitrogenous waste better than a lot of other species, including most fish. So there's some algae in there, great. I put the snails in there, they're gonna start eating the algae. I start feeding the snails a little bit, and basically, I just keep snails for a couple weeks. And then I test and see if we got past the ammonia, or are we past the nitrite, or are we making nitrate, where are we at? And once we're to the point where we're making nitrate, then I'll do a water change, and I'll start adding some fish. So I like using critters to cycle a tank because it's a way to do it without having to be a chemist as much as using, ammonia and bottled bacteria. But it doesn't put fish at risk as much as just taking fish and throwing them in a new aquarium that hasn't got any cycle going. So that's the way I like to do it. I'm not saying it's the best way. I think it's the easiest way, but it does take some time. So those are my thoughts. I would say if you really want to get a tank up and going quick, I personally would get Dr. Tim's product. Not because I know for sure others don't work, although I've tested others and they haven't worked, but because that's the one that I found that did work. And I know the science behind it. I've read those papers. I know the history of it. Plus, I used to go to University of California, Santa Barbara. That's where I did my PhD studies. So I kind of have an affinity for Dr. Tim and his research there. But yeah, that's my basic thoughts. I probably ranted on that longer than was necessary. But check out the video on cycling an aquarium that we have here on this channel, and hopefully that'll be helpful. Ashton, is it Schonauer? That's what I'm going with. It was hard to switch from seeing fish as a hobby to seeing it. Oh, was it hard to switch from seeing fish as a hobby to seeing it as a business? No, because it happened gradually. And the truth is, I still feel like these fish are my hobby. I don't feel like I've become jaded about them. I don't feel like I appreciate them any less. The main difference is now I just get to keep many more species in higher numbers than I ever could have, just as a hobbyist in my house. So I honestly still feel like a hobbyist. If anything, my appreciation of and knowledge of and excitement for fish has just grown. So I don't feel like I've lost anything. It's basically, I like Rachel O'Leary's description. She calls herself a professional hobbyist. I like that. But no, I never felt like it was a hard switch. Basically, I was raising fish, started raising enough that I was making a little money. And demand grew to the point where I couldn't produce enough just by breeding them. So started bringing some in and selling them, made a little more money. And it was just very gradual growth. Been working on this thing for nigh on 6 years now as a full-time occupation. So no, there wasn't like a moment. It's just been this very gradual thing. And honestly, as a hobbyist, I would spend tons of time with the fish just 'cause. Like, that's what I liked doing. I do it late, till late at night, or I do it on weekends or whatever. And so the long hours the business requires isn't a whole lot different than what I did with fish before when it was just a hobby, to tell you the truth. I mean, it is, because now I don't have another job that takes up, a lot of my time, but it's what I want to be doing, so it doesn't feel like work. Jody P. How did you know most of my wish list is on your restock listed today? Looks like I'll need more tanks. 3 times the number of tanks you have right now is all you need to help establish world peace. And I discovered some fry this morning from the gold ring loaches I ordered from you. Oh, that's great news, Jody. I'm so glad to hear that they're breeding for you and doing well. Yeah, they're an interesting little loach. Or not little, those are fairly good sized. Glad you got them breeding. Fluffy Cow, looking for ideas for a 45-gallon tall. Would like a top, bottom, and showpiece fish. Okay, so my favorite way to use tall tanks is with fish that crawl. Fish that's like gobies and such that will use the vertical space. And aren't fish that like to swim back and forth, because in a tall tank, their lateral movement is curtailed. There's a lot of vertical movement, but not a ton of lateral movement. So personally, what I like to do in tall type tanks, like your old Hex tank from back in the day, is put a whole bunch of hardscape in there, maybe up the middle, and then put fish in there that like to climb and graze. I think that's a really good way to use a tank like that, because those fish aren't swimming back and forth. They're not going to miss the lateral swimming space. That's not quite what you're talking about, though, because you're talking about different fish for each strata of the water column. But I think it's a really easy way to utilize an entire tall tank and have a lot of action all throughout it. Because some will be on the bottom, some will be at the top of your hardscape, some will be up on the glass, and they'll be all over it, all different levels for that. If you don't want to go that route, and you want standard fish that will stay in different areas, 45-gallon tall, so that's what is that? Is that 30 inches wide? Something like that? Or is it the size of a 20 but taller, or is it a little wider than a 20? I don't know. But what I would do is I would go with nano fish that could fill each level. And the reason for that is they're smaller. So even if they like to swim back and forth, they're going to have plenty of room, even though it's a tall style tank instead of a standard, long tank with more swimming area side to side. So I look at that. What's small and stays in the strata that I want? So something like pygmy hatchetfish or platinum half-beaks or wrestling half-beaks or tanga half-beaks would be great for the top level. There's a lot of small killifish, Aplochilus blocki, Aplochilus kirschmeyeri, some of the Epiplates species, rocket killies, Epiplates annulatus or Pseudepiplates annulatus. I can't remember if Pseudepiplates ever became the actual name or if it's just Epiplates, but the clown killie or rocket killie or what have you would be a great addition for the top area. For the bottom, you have lots of choices. You could do coolie loaches, you could do rosy loaches, you could do hovering loaches, you could do pygmy cories. Lots of options for small bottom dwellers. And then for the middle, again, lots of options like chili rasboras or kubutai rasboras or threadfin rainbows, one of my favorites, and I rarely have them available because it's been so hard for me to find a good supplier of them. But those kinds of fish, I think, would be really good for that area. So that's some thoughts to get you going, Fluffy Cow. We'll be there both days. Looking forward to nerding out. So Fluffy Cow's coming to the barbecue. All right. A little dangerous for something with cow in the name to come to my barbecue. It's one brave Fluffy Cow. All right, scrolling up here. And Punk Rock Papa. Hey, Punk Rock, it's been a while since I've seen you. Yeah, I totally remember you. The wild type betas and all that. Hope you're doing really well. Any chance of getting Taeniatus? What is that genus name? Trachyolopterychthes taeniatus. The striped woodcats. Okay. I bought 4 from predatory fins. One didn't make it through shipping. The other 3 died shortly thereafter. I love woodcats. I like Perugiae a lot. The honeycomb or purple, depending on, what you want to call it. What's this one? Oh, wow, that's awesome. It reminds me almost of the highway catfish. A little different, but quite similar. Wow, what a looker. It's so similar to the highway catfish. This guy. So these guys are from Asia. Look how similar they are. Isn't that neat? Like that convergent evolution is just so interesting. Asia, South America, but obviously they found a very similar strategy for the coloration to help them. I okay. I like woodcats, and I brought them in a few times, and the problem is they haven't sold well. So it's something I do want to explore further. The other problem is there's not a lot of suppliers, as you experienced. The supply chain doesn't treat them very well. So like the Ninja Woodcats, the Perugiers, the Galaxies. What other ones have we tried? We've tried several species, not tons of them, but several species. And when we got them in good shape, they didn't sell very well. And it was a struggle to get them in good shape. So that's the challenge. I like that one though. I haven't looked Punk Rock Papa, but now that it's on my radar, I'll probably look a little bit. So I have to be careful. So there's all kinds of neat fish I want to get out there, and I just haven't found the right supplier for them. And so, in fact, Jonathan and I were talking about this last week. The need we have as a company to bring on new suppliers so that we can get in interesting stuff. And we have lots of interesting stuff, but more stuff. And manage our inventory correctly according to what the market wants. But the immense risk it takes to do that. Anytime we try a new supplier, we take on immense risk. And I find, of the ones I try, I find very few that are worth continuing to do business with. So we only deal with suppliers that treat the fish humanely, and just a lot of them aren't interested in doing anything different than they've always done it. A lot of them aren't interested in packing the fish in less densities and doing the other things we have them do to make sure the fish are treated humanely. And some of them are willing, but their skill level or their experience level or what have you is, it's obvious when we try them that they don't know what they're doing. Now let's put it bluntly. And so sometimes we'll work with the supplier a little bit. If they try and they're like, and they want to learn, then sometimes we'll work with them a little bit. But bringing on a new supplier and training them up in the way Dan's Fish does business is a very risky, very expensive long-term endeavor. So I have to be really choosy of who I do that with. But we do it like we have to, and we do. Every now and then we'll try someone. And oh, that didn't go good. Okay, we'll try someone else. Oh, that didn't go good. And we keep doing that till we find people that are good. So that's one reason it's... do I have access to? I have access to lots of fish that I just don't order. Because I know that... they're not going to be, that the supply chain, okay, how do I put this? It's just not right. I won't be doing right by the fish if I bring them in from that supplier. Let's put it that way. So, but yeah, it's something we're always kind of dipping our toe in a little bit and experimenting with. And every now and then we find a winner and it's awesome. But you go through a lot of problems and a lot of risk before you find that person. It's very expensive to do that. All right, Scotty the Fish Freak, Jennifer Weaver. I know Scotty, I heard. Jennifer Weaver, who you most likely met at the Clash and or here on YouTube, passed away last Saturday. She was a killifish keeper as well. It's been a rough few months. Yeah, I knew about that. I heard about that a few days ago. So, you know, my deepest condolences to Jennifer's family and friends, everyone that was really close to her. She's been a customer for a long time. She's been a customer since at least 2020, so for 4 years. And we've been able to, you know, provide her with some neat killifish. But she got other stuff too. She did some pistos. What else did she order? Oh, those really neat, I can't say it. It starts with a Z. It's a Chinese name like Zhao Qing or something like that. paradise fish. Yeah, she definitely did Achilles, but her interests were some rainbow fish. It seemed like she liked all kinds of fish. So yeah, for anyone that knew her and was close to her, our deepest condolences. I'll miss her for sure. She's a great customer. Throwing Stone, I'm just starting out breeding here in Cheyenne, Wyoming. Any advice? Just have fun. Do the things that are fun for you. Anytime you try to follow trends, like, oh, I think this fish, the market, I think would really like to get this fish, so I'll breed it, but it's not a fish you're into, that's not a recipe for success. The recipe for success is focus on the fish that you have fun with, that you enjoy, and breed those, and get your experience with those. And that'll be my biggest advice. I mean, there's lots of advice, but we don't have an hour to talk about just that topic. But yeah, good for you. I'm thrilled that there'll be a fish breeder in Wyoming. And if you can come up for the 4th of July barbecue, Throwing Stone, I'd love to meet you and we could talk in detail. Shark Fin Adventures, hi. Well, howdy, right back at you. Uncle Smiley's Aquariums has been a member for 2 months. Uncle Smiley, thanks for being a member. Appreciate that. Thanks, Dan and Mods, for all your hard work. Hey, you're welcome. It is hard work, but it's fun. It's like, I was talking to one of our employees today, and one of the goals we have here at Dan's Fish is to make it a place that people get up in the morning and are excited to go work at. That's the vibe we're going for. That's the environment we try to build. And that's the main priority for our culture. I've worked plenty of jobs in the past where the alarm would go off and I would just dread going in. I knew it was going to be full of drama. I knew there were going to be politics. I knew that, oh, it was going to be I knew that we didn't have the tools to succeed and we wanted to succeed, like all those things. And so we try really, really hard to make this a place that people want to work. And I think by and large we've succeeded. I think we can always improve. But where I was going with that is it is hard work, but it's enjoyable. So it almost doesn't feel like work. Tuxedo Pitbulls, can Corys tolerate a little salt? I was thinking of adding some in with my betta. Absolutely. Corys can experience can be fine with up to 5 parts per thousand salt per gallon. Well, just 5 parts per thousand salt. So that's 5, oh geez, is it milligrams or grams per liter? I think it's 5 grams. I'm going to stick with the one that's safe because my brain isn't doing the conversions correctly right now. 5 parts per thousand salt is not a problem for Corys in my experience. What you don't want to do is just toss the salt into the aquarium or whatever and have it settle to the bottom and dissolve slowly there. That will kill your Corys because that'll create a hypersaline spot, and if the Corys happen to go into it, that can kill them. I've seen that happen. But if you pre-dissolve the salt in some water and then pour it in, or put a net in the tank and put the salt in the net over the air stone or wherever the water is moving and have that dissipate the salt slowly throughout the column, I've never had a problem doing those 2 things. But I have, before I knew this, I have killed Corys and gobies and other bottom dwellers with salt because I just put it in the tank, it sunk to the bottom, and they swam into that area and it shocked them. So just prevent that and I think you'll be fine. Now, I guess I should defend myself here. The internet's going to go a little crazy because there's the common knowledge is you can't do Corys and Plecos and Loaches with salt, that they're sensitive to salt, and that they aren't. But those are all bottom dwellers, and how people do salt, how most people do salt is they just throw it in the tank. And when those fish that are bottom dwellers go swim on top of the salt and they enter this hypersaline zone, that's what kills them. But they're not actually sensitive to salt in my experience. or according to the veterinarians that were on the panel at the Aquatic Veterinarian Conference where I asked that question. It's like, what's a safe level of salt for them? They're like, hey, there's no freshwater fish that we know of. This is what they said. There's no freshwater fish that we're aware of that can't take 5 parts per thousand up to maybe 8 parts per thousand salt. Reformed, I can never say that last one. I'm just calling you Reformed. How come there are only a few types of puffers in the hobby? It seems like there are a lot more out there, but they are just not in the hobby. So I have access to actually several species of puffers, but I stick to the ones that you can keep together, that won't kill each other, and maybe won't even kill other species. So that would be like pea puffers, Amazon puffers, and Congo spotted puffers in the freshwater aquarium. Lots of puffer species will kill each other on site. They're very territorial, and it's a big, nasty, bloody mess. And so I think that's why there aren't very many types of puffers available. Or they're available, but they aren't actually in the hobby. Because if you're a fish store and you order, let me give you an example. The dragon puffer. I could order dragon puffers tomorrow. I could probably order avocado puffers, although those might need a little salt. I could probably order Murius puffers. I could order, there's lots of puffers I could order. But if I did, I'd have to order them in a minimum quantity of, say, 50. And since they're all going to kill each other and kill any other fish, that means I have to dedicate 50 individual aquariums to them, or divide up an aquarium. It's going to take a lot of aquarium space, right? And as a business, which is, that's how we get fish into the hobby usually, is through pet stores and other places that are trying to stay in business. That's not a good economic model. You can't take up that much real estate for one species. The species probably is going to sell super quickly. You could instead put 200 guppies in one aquarium, and you'd have a lot more dollars per square foot of inventory in your business if you did that. So I think a lot of it is the economics. It's hard to keep species that you can't keep together in a shop situation. Jay Vetters, are the European orange head electric blue rams big enough to sex? I'm looking for a breeding project and thought those were incredible when you showed them. Oh, they are incredible. They're not as big as the last batch we had. I don't think I'm comfortable sexing them yet. However, if there's a ratio you want, if you put in the notes, I would like this ratio. I understand it's not 100% guaranteed, but could you try for this ratio? Then we will try. But I'm not confident I could sex them at their current size. T-Shot, just wanted to say I bought a Sultan Pleco from you 3.5 years ago. It's thriving. Oh, T-Shot, that's awesome. 3.5 years and absolutely stunning. I'm going to try and get a nice pic to send you. Don't hesitate to buy from Dan. Hey, thanks, T-Shot. Oh, I love the picture. Could I use it on the website? That would be amazing. 3.5 years. That's not too shabby. That's good. Oh, okay. Johnny says we got sent all males on those rams. Okay, that's your answer. Lady Rorschach, I'll be sure to get feedback from Bob as well. Dan, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. You're welcome. I wish I could have helped you out more on those red-eye puffers. Orange Cones, which continent or region has the best survival rate when you import fish? Just curious. There is a source out of Europe that does an absolutely amazing job. Well, the continent that I have the best success from is the United States. When I buy from hobbyist breeders, that's awesome. But in Europe, there's some really, really good operations. Now, that's not to say, though, There's several places I bring fish in from Southeast Asia, not just one country, but several countries, where those guys, like, we've been working with them for years. We're at the point now where they're packing certain fish in like a quarter of the normal density from the jump. So throughout the chain, they're being shipped in much less density. And those are doing pretty well. It's nothing to sneeze at. And then there is one supplier in South America that does a pretty amazing job. But there's a specific place in Europe I'm thinking of that I think is the best. It's very expensive, for sure, but their stuff comes in. The last import we got from them, I don't think we had a single DOA. Yeah, they're good. Okay, Donald Hall. Johnny will be picking up the 2 female chocolate lyre-tail killifish along with some other fish. Oh, okay. You're going to be getting some fish. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, if you want to buy fish while you're here, if you come for the barbecue and you want to buy fish, of course we'll sell fish to you. We normally don't, but in this case, oh, how cruel would it be if you were like excited about some fish you saw and we're like, that's great, go, can't sell them. The only way we wouldn't sell them is if they aren't ready, like they're still in quarantine, or if they were already sold to someone and we just hadn't shipped them out yet. So, but yeah, we're happy to do that. T-Shot, how many of the Pitbull Plecos will we be sending out for the giveaway? It's a good question. I think at least 3. Say 3 to 6. I'll let Johnny decide. Christopher Junkin, have you ever thought about selling seeded sponge filters? No, I haven't, and I'll tell you why. Okay. So the thing about nitrifying bacteria is it has high oxygen requirements. It likes to live in places that are well oxygenated. If you take a sponge filter that's been used and you put it in a bag or something and send it off, I think it's going to be somewhat difficult to keep that colony alive and thriving. It depends on how it's done, but I think there's a lot of room for error there. If it gets too dry, they die. If you ship it underwater and there's no flow going through it, right? You don't have the bubbler going through it. It's likely that the bacteria in this, like, that aren't just on the very, very surface, are probably going to die off. If it's not clean, if there's spots where there's mold and detritus in the filter, that's going to create anoxic or anaerobic or anyway low oxygen areas, and those will die. So I think even if the sponge is full of thriving bacteria in my aquarium, when I take it out and put it in the bag and it goes through the shipping process, I think the odds are very good that the majority of that colony won't survive that trip. And then the customer takes that, assumes it's all good, puts it in their new tank, throws their fish in, and we have a disaster. So that's my thoughts on that. I don't want to set people up for failure, and I don't know of a reliable enough way to send seeded filters. Like if you were here locally, we could totally do it. But, I'm in the middle of Wyoming. Ain't nobody here. So I've got to mail everything, and I don't think there's probably a method to do it, but I think it would take a lot of time and experimentation and such to really nail that down. And that's not something we'll be doing anytime soon. Okay, scrolling down here, we've got Kelly Foreman, who did what Kelly Foreman does. Gave away 5 Dance Fish memberships. Thanks again, Kelly. Hope you are doing wonderfully. 2 Foot Chopsticks Aquatic says, I love algae. In the right places, it looks fantastic. Yes, one of the coolest tanks I ever saw was a tank that had quite a bit of hardscape in it and had black beard algae in it. And it looked fantastic. It was awesome. Yeah. Are those Jack Dempsey's behind you ever going to get bigger? Asked Johnny. So here's the thing. This video is pretty old now. Those Jack Dempsey's are now full grown. They're what, 6 inches, something like that. They're big adults. And Johnny took a video of them a few weeks ago for me to use in the background here to kind of update things so you can see what they look like now. And we've been so busy that I have still not got that video added to the background. So Johnny's asking that as a hint to, Dan, when are you going to use that video I made for you? As soon as I can, Johnny. Christopher Junkin. We know Johnny gave you an updated background video. What are you waiting for? Yeah. Okay, now he's got everyone ganging up on me. Thanks, Johnny. Dan's fish is Dr. Fish? No, but our chief fish health officer, I venture to say that, oh, I don't want to offend anyone by saying she knows more than most aquatic vets. I don't know that to be for sure, but she knows a stunning amount about fish and physiology and different chemical systems that affect cell function and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we have someone in the warehouse that's, really up on the fish health. What is your idea for a 10-gallon with sparkling gouramis? Tank has a 30-gallon fluval filter. I mean, yeah, you can definitely put sparkling or pygmy gouramis in a 10-gallon. They're a small fish. They aren't a fast swimmer. They kind of hang out and, swim here and there, but they're not rapid swimming. They're kind of more slowly cruising along, exploring things. So yeah, absolutely. The one thing I would say is, I don't know how much flow a 30-gallon fluval filter puts into a 10-gallon, but it might be too much. These gouramis come from areas where the water is not flowing fast. Think of like grassy swamplands and stuff like that. So, or a shallow pond full of plants or full of leaf litter. So what you don't want is so much current or flow or movement of the water from the filter that the fish are struggling against it. And gouramis will start struggling before a lot of other species that are better, stronger swimmers. So that's the one thing I would say about that. James Groom, oh, by the way, the Fireline Daniels are doing great. I'm glad to hear it. If they colored up for you, have they got their kind of orange, red bottom back part of the body fired up? Hope so. They're pretty when they fire up. And in my experience, once they color up, they kind of stay colored up. So they're not one that is only colorful occasionally. Okay, Purple Pencil. What do you think about using ChatGPT to get info on the fish hobby? Ooh, I've asked it a few questions. What tank mates can I add for my guppies? It seems to get basic information wrong. So yeah, so ChatGPT, how it works is it scours the internet and it takes that information, and it's a large language model, right? So it's going to take that information and regurgitate it in a new form for you. The problem is, in my experience, a ton of the information about fish on the internet is incorrect. ChatGPT isn't going to, the crusty old fish breeder that's been doing it for 50 years and really knows their stuff and saying, hey, Purple Pencil had a question about some fish. What's your experience with this fish? And then they get it from the horse's mouth, right? All that nuance and experience. They're not getting that. They're getting I don't know, I bet you that they think that Petco is like, the Petco website is a great authority from which to draw information, like that kind of stuff. So yeah, you're going to get what ChatGPT is going to give you is an amalgamation and kind of a synthesis of a bunch of information from the internet. So since a lot of that information is wrong, then I think ChatGPT is probably going to get a lot of stuff wrong. Spinster Sister, my Epistobanchi is into the second spawn. Oh, that's so great. Do you remove the cave and hatch them away or let mama take care of them? It's totally up to you. If you want to like see the wonder, which is a pair of Epistos taking care of their cloud of babies, then leave mama in there. If you're like, no, I really want to make sure these hatch and get raised up, then I would separate the eggs. I would take the cave out. I'd probably put it in some kind of really slow circulating air tumbler, like egg tumbler. Position it in such a way that the eggs are getting some flow, and I would probably raise them artificially. So it just totally depends on what your goal is. But if it was me and I was a hobbyist and I had some Epistos breeding, I would give them 5 or 6 tries before I was like, yeah, I just need to get a hatch. Just because it's so cool when it's successful. Kevin McKenzie, will you be bringing back the Tenga half-beak? I had to ask after you mentioned it above. Yes, Kevin. I have some right now that are in quarantine. I'm working on just fattening them up. So they didn't come in super skinny or anything, but we did have to treat them for, what was it? I think they had, was it a roundworm? They had some kind of parasite. So we had to put them through the treatment, and so that means they didn't eat for a while they're being treated. And so I need to take some extra time and fatten them up and get them bulked up and fat and sassy before I send them out. So that's where we're at on that process. Hopefully they'll get through it all and there won't be any other problems and I can list them. That's what we're working towards. Just remember to put Dan's fish before your question so Dan will see it. Yes, indeed. So for those that are new, if you do that, it will turn bright orange in my chat. And when I'm looking for comments and questions to respond to, I'm just going from bright orange box to bright orange box. I ignore everything else, assuming that that's you guys just chatting amongst yourselves, having a good time. Mannequin 87. I've been looking for fish that have something like a black and white cow pattern. And so far I've found Dalmatian mollies and a few types of goldfish. Do you have any recommendations? Yeah, what about like a panda angelfish? So here is a panda angelfish. Some different versions of that. What about a panda platy? Maybe something like this. I don't know if that's cow enough for you, but you know, there's the panda platy. What else? What else? I don't know. That's a couple off the top of my head. Branton Lightcap. Have you ever spawned chili raspberries? If so, what was the temp and pH? I'm sure I spawned them, but it's just like they happen to spawn in the tanks. I've never like gone out of my way to set them up, spawn them, and raise lots of babies. So I don't know that I can help you with that. If I ever like purposely set them up to spawn and had success, and if I did, what were the parameters? Let me think. I don't think so. I don't think I know that. Mountaintop Puffer Keeper, 15 pow Fang Guy Puffers, 44 days old. Oh, that's great. 1.5 inches long. That's so good. Eating small earthworms. I've designed a 3D printed puffer auto egg harvester. Nice. With a 3D expert. Testing version 1 begins tomorrow with the Congos. Oh man, that is exciting, Mountaintop Puffer Keeper. Congratulations on your success. Let's look at this. Let's look at this POW species. I guess it's POW, but I call it POW. Look at these guys. Such a pretty fish. Oh, nice. Look at that red target on the back. Neat. That's awesome, Matthew. 1.5 inches, that's nothing to sneeze at. They're there. They're so far out of the danger zone now. Scotty asks if I ever see calopanchax available. I've been looking at AKA sources and locally and never see them available. So I haven't seen calopanchax for, last time I kept them, it's got to be over 15 years ago, maybe 10 years ago. I think I had calopanchax toddi. I don't think I've had occidentalis. What's the one they call the golden pheasant? Calopanchax gold. Fez. Occidentalis. Yeah. I think the one I had was toddi. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was toddi, which for all I know might be occidentalis again now. I haven't kept up with that, but even back then they were very hard to find. This is a fish that I ever saw it, I would bring it in. It'd be a challenge because the males are super aggressive. Females can be aggressive too, but yeah, I think if we have a chance to get them in the hobby, I think we've got to do it. Short one, aquarist. Hey, welcome to the Fishmonger crew. Thanks for signing up. Appreciate your membership. Short one. Stone Throw says, thank you so much. Thrown Stowe. Thrown Stone. Jeez. Man, I promise you, it's only water in this thermos. I promise, despite my inability to get words out clearly. It's just water, folks. Sharon Jones Pierce likes rainbow fish, but doesn't like that odd shape. Any that don't get like that. I'm gonna need some help here. No one's coming to mind. There are some that are slimmer. Is there any bowhead out there that knows of one that doesn't get that small body or small head with super big body around it? What would you suggest? Like true rainbow fish? I mean, I can think of pseudomugils, but true rainbow fish, nothing's popping to mind. Why are we always yelling? Oh, thanks. Why are we always yelling? Reminding folks to make the orange boxes for us. Punk Rock Papa, I appreciate it. Thank you. Everything I've gotten from you is doing great. I'm going to try breeding the Betta Simorum and the Zebra Car soon. Thanks for everything. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. Those Betta Simorum, isn't that a stunning fish? For those folks, those that didn't get these, you missed out. This. I've only been able to get them once, and they looked better than this. I swear so this green emerald iridescence on the fish, the camera only picked it up at a certain angle, but it goes up the back. It's just such a beautiful, neat, peaceful betta. I think they're so cool. So if you could breed those, that would be fantastic. That's one that if I get them again and I've got, you know, my own personal hobbyist tank set up, that's one I'm going to keep. They're fantastic. Joseph Noel, don't those devil hole pupfish look like some of those gorgeous killifish, Dan? Yeah, the devil's hole pupfish is an amazing killifish. The problem is it's probably about the most illegal killifish to keep. Like if you're caught with that, bye-bye, enjoy prison. I don't think you're just getting a fine. I think they're making an example out of you. But yeah. This thing, so this, as far as I know, I believe this is correct. This is the vertebrate with the smallest habitat on Earth. The smallest natural range on Earth. These blue and black, beautiful little iridescent pupfish from Nevada. There's just this hole in the ground that is fed by a spring that you could jump across, And that's where they are, and that's the only place they are. Besides maybe a couple little artificial rearing areas that Fish and Wildlife is trying to propagate them in. Yeah, great little fish. There's a lot of pupfish that I love that there's no way I'd ever keep. So I don't want to go to prison or get my RV confiscated. Joseph says, apologies, folks. I'm a geek scientist. Hey, apologies. This is your crowd. Are you kidding? You found your people. Tuxedo Pitbulls. I always premix. I would hate for the fish to eat the salt. Thank you for your knowledge. Yeah, as long as you premix, I mean, we keep Corys with salt routinely. No problems. Every fish we ship is in 5 parts per thousand salt. That includes the plecos, the loaches, the Corys, every fish we ship. The only exception is if I send fish out to our veterinarian or to a laboratory, then I don't put the salt in there because I don't want it to kill any critters that they're trying to identify or find. But besides medical diagnosis, I always ship fish with salt. Fish Hunter, my orange head electric blue rams are simply amazing. I've never seen a more beautiful fish. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. They were extremely shy at first, but they've come out of their shells. Oh, I'm so glad, Fish Hunter, to hear they're doing well for you. Yeah, that batch was stunning. They were just, you know, they're just big enough to really show their color. Oh, I hope they get bred and distributed in the hobby. I would like to buy like 300 of them tomorrow, if a hobbyist breeds a bunch. I think if we get the price point of those down to like $19.99, I think the market would support that long term, and I think people would love to have them. Taylor's Reptiles and Aquatics. I still have highway catfish after 5-ish years. I remember that. I saw a video recently, I think, where your catfish made an appearance. Yeah, Tachycerus trilineatus. Such a beautiful, neat fish. New friends, any tips on red chin panchax, Epiplates degei? I think I'm getting a pair from the AKA. Do it. They're one of the easiest Epiplates to start with. They're hardy, they're prolific, they're beautiful. Ours eat flake food, they eat frozen food, they eat live food, they'll eat pellets, they'll eat everything. So my best tip is, the easiest way to do them is set yourself up like a 10-gallon aquarium. Have half the tank choked with Java moss and like water Sprite. Just the entire water column just choked with plants from bottom to top. Feed the adults a lot of food. Frozen and live foods will get them fattened up pretty quickly. And then squirt in some baby brine shrimp or vinegar eels or whatever you're going to feed. Vinegar eels are great because they kind of swim at the top. Baby brine shrimp's, I think, easier to get in quantity long term. But anyway, some small food, feed that every day. Like after you've had the adults for a couple weeks, start feeding that every day as well, just a little bit, and you'll have babies coming out of those plants in no time. So that's the easy way to propagate them and get a colony going. Alrighty. It's already 8:15. Man, time flew today. We've only got 15 minutes left. Have you had to ship fish in very hot conditions lately? Yeah, we sent a box to, I think it was Arizona. I think it was 105 degrees last week. Las Vegas was pretty toasty last week. What's interesting this week is there's a cold spell, like the whole West Coast until you hit, I don't know, until you get past like the Dakotas and Nebraska and stuff. Like the Northwest, California, us, and on up. Utah is really cold. South Dakota is really cold. Like it's going to be in the 30s tonight. Is that right? Or it was last night? So a strange cold spell came through. Must have been last night. It's 43 degrees tonight. That's going away though, but it lasted a few days. Yeah, it was really weird to see such cold temperatures this time of year in so many places. But yeah, we ship, it has to be pretty, the temperature has to be way out of whack for us to not ship. And we just use hot packs or cold packs as necessary. A lot of times this time of year, we don't have to put anything in. We put a lot of thermal mass in the boxes. If there's space in the box and the fish don't fill the box, then we'll put in what we call temp packs. They're just bags of water basically to fill the space so that that water acts as thermal mass so that the inside of the box doesn't cool or heat as quickly. And so there's a lot of tricks we have to make fish get to you in good shape, even if it's hot or cold. Kurt asks, how many zebra loaches would you stock in a species only 40 breeder? Oh, they like each other. They like to be in big groups. In a 40 breeder, if you don't mind doing a little bit of maintenance and have good filtration and the tank's like really, really stabilized, this is gonna sound like a lot, but I put 20 in there. They're all gonna huddle under in a cave together and stuff, and then they'll come out and swim around, then huddle in again. So they're not a fish that requires tons and tons of space, and they really like to be in big groups. If you don't want to do as much maintenance, then maybe I'd do, I don't know, like a dozen or something like that. It really just depends on, it's poop management, right? It's bioload management. So is the tank set up to handle that bioload? If so, and are you willing to, change water once a week or whatever you got to do? Then yeah. Or you're like, nah, I want to take it easy. I don't want to do so many water changes. Then I'd back off a bit. But with those fish, I would recommend the biggest group you can comfortably handle is what I'd recommend, because when they're in big groups together, their behavior is outgoing. They're not shy. I have a big group in an aquarium right now, and I can walk by and feed them and interact with them, and they don't scatter. They don't go rush under the cover. If I only had 20 in that aquarium, then they would probably be very shy right now. Now, after a few weeks, they're going to get used to me, but the more you have, the more comfortable they are. So I know that's not kind of an exact number, but that's the basic thesis around that fish. Do Pitbull Plecos try to hide in the substrate? Yes, oh, I forgot to mention that. Yeah, they're like a horseface loach in that if they feel scared or disturbed, they'll dive down into the sand. They'll bury themselves in the sand. So they will help keep your substrate nice and clean. Now, that being said, I would recommend having sand for them, because, or something loose that they can kind of burrow down in, because that'll help them feel a lot more comfortable. So yes, thank you. Thank you, Lisa the Wolf. I forgot to bring that up earlier. Really help keep a sand substrate beautiful, because they're going down in it, they're playing in it, they're sifting through it. They like to be on sand. Orange cones. From my personal moving experience, the seasoned media survival tanks at about 4 hours at room temperature without flow. They survive 4 hours at room temperature without flow. Awesome. Yeah, good to know. And I'm glad your move went well. That can be a little scary when you're moving with aquariums. Stephen White says, although I live in Spain and am unable to get fish from Dan's, I value the info I gleaned from the chat and from Dan. Most of my fish are from Glasser, which I know Dan knows too. Yeah, we bring fish in from Aquarium Glasser. But Stephen, gracias por venir. Okay, I'm scrolling to find where the chat jumped. And let's see. Yes, okay, we made it to the top. The next one I can see is Short One Aquarist. How can I become a member? You must have figured it out. Let's see, when was that left? Does it tell me? It doesn't tell me the time that was left. It's now 8. That must have been forever ago, because you successfully became a member at 8 o'clock, and it's now 8:20. So I'm at least 20 minutes behind in the chat. 8:21. Woo. New friends. The best way I find to use ChatGPT is to get vocabulary I don't already know. Then I can do a better search in a regular engine or ask a person a clear question. Oh yeah, I think it's like Wikipedia in that it's a great place to start and just get some basic things that you can dig into deeper. Yeah, but it's like Wikipedia. It definitely is not a source I would ever count on to be reliable or cite in some kind of, academic paper or anything like that. Only we. What's the maximum number of rainbow fish you would keep in a 150-gallon? Again, it just depends on how it's set up and how much maintenance you want to do. But I would probably start with 50 and see how I felt after that. 150-gallon. No, I wouldn't. It depends. So it totally depends on how it's set up. We're talking about an 8-foot-long tank, I believe, and it depends on which species you're doing. Are you doing big glossolepis? Maybe I do like 30. Are you doing small like tabubills or calitawas or marisi or pygmaea? Then I would for sure do 50. So it's kind of like, what's the size? I answered that too flippantly. There's size considerations to take into account with different rainbow fish. But I would start with a decent group and then see how you felt with the maintenance and stuff, and if you wanted more. There is something nice about having negative space in an aquarium, blank space that isn't filled by stuff. So you get this group of fish swimming around in open water, as opposed to having so many fish or so much stuff in the tank that you don't see that. There's something nice about a big group of fish kind of swimming around. So I don't know. It just totally depends on what the goal is, I suppose. Will you be getting any wild-caught apistos? So we do occasionally do that. The breeders I deal with, though, have consistently better fish. So when I can, I prefer to get them aquarium bred and raised. The only fish I wasn't able to keep successfully from you were the electric blue Dempseys. I kind of gave up on them. Oh no, Z's World. Well, that's too bad. Ours are doing fantastic. I'm wondering if I have any thoughts on how to be more successful with those. I really don't. I don't know what you try and stuff. Sorry they didn't work out for you. I mean, for the longest time, I couldn't keep clown killies alive. I have no idea why. Like, I failed again and again and again. It's one of my favorite fish ever. And then we tried them again, and hey, they worked this time. So every now and then there's a species I can't keep alive, or I have no idea why. Any Kalitawa rainbows on the way? There are, Tree. There are. Spinster! My Apisto Banshire, an excellent first-time mama. She gave me at least 50 tiny stripy swimmers and is starting a new crop. Oh, that's so fantastic. Yes. Yes. So 8:25, we've got a little more time. We'll do a few more comments here. David Allen, hey Dan, any larger electric blue jacks available? 3/4 of an inch feels a little small, but I've always wanted one in my room. Thanks. Oh man. Just a moment. Just so you know, we say 3/4 of an inch, but most of them are quite a bit bigger than that. I do have some really big electric blue jack Dempseys, but I don't like shipping fish that are that big. So for a local person, I would sell them locally, maybe, if they didn't have to go through shipping. But for shipping the smaller ones, yeah, they're small and that can be a bummer, but they ship so much easier. Ooh, okay. Oh, Chilotharina alani wapoga do not get the hump, says Kelly Foreman. So for the person who is looking for a sleeker-bodied rainbow fish than the typical, well, than this. Like, let's see here. I've got a picture on the website, which is the epitome of the humpiness they get. Where is it? Yeah, if you go here. So my friend Stan Sung took this picture. You got this, you know, normal shaped head, but then boom, the big old body goes up off of it. And that turns a lot of people off. I think it's like fantastic. But what they want is a fish that goes whoop, whoop, like a normal sardine looking fish, right? So it sounds like those, according to Kelly Foreman, who knows more about rainbows than I do for sure, sounds like the Chilothrina alleni wapoga might be a good option for that person that was looking for normal body-shaped rainbows. And we have that red form that's really nice right now. Punk Rock's wife here. They are gorgeous. The Betta-Samorum, yeah. One of the most underrated bettas. If people could see those in person, I think, well, I know. When people came to visit the warehouse, that's one of the tanks they stop at and go like, what is that? I'm like, that's a betta. They're like, why are they together? Don't they kill each other? And you do the whole spiel about bettas with them. All right. I think it's time to do our drawing. We have 247 folks who are eligible to win some Pitbull Plecos, and the winner is Jenna P. 2005. Jenna, congratulations. Jenna, you know the rules, but you have 2 minutes to chime in. Let us know you're here. I'm going to start the timer now. The nice thing is we finally figured out how to ship to the Phillips's in the heat of Louisiana. So that's pretty awesome. Oh, sharing the wrong screen. There we go. Timer's going, Jenna. Oh, you're here. Okay, that was quick. Jenna says, I'm here. All right, Jenna, you have won. Congratulations. Please send an email to johnny@dansfish.com, and we'll arrange the shipping date. Congrats on some Pitbull Plecos. 2 more minutes. Okay. I purchased Melanitania celoensis Moa Island several times, and they are beautiful. That's one of my favorite fish. Yes. I love the tuxedo stripes, the kind of horizontal stripes. I love the yellow against the black margins on the fins. Absolutely one of the nicer ones. Nigrins is slimmer. Okay, that's good to know. Melanitania nigrins. It's more slim. All right. Threadfin rainbows have a bit slimmer profile, nice fins with great behavior. Yeah, the threadfins for sure. I think, though, that the person was asking for probably like a Melanitania or Chilothrina or Glossolepis type, not like a small pseudomugil type. I know that the threadfin's not a pseudomugil, but you know, in appearance, it's similar. I have some stunning Gingaruba endlers that I was lucky enough to get from Dan's Fish. Some fry come out bent like a V. Ooh, but they seem fine. What can I do to help them? I don't know. I don't know if there's something going on where, like, they're in mom too long and their spine gets stiff in a V. It could be some kind of nutrition defect. It could be genetic. That is such a new strain to me. I've only been able to get that fish in twice. I've never seen any with V-bent spines, but it's a new enough form of Endler that I don't know what kinds of things are in its genetics. So I honestly don't know if it's genetic, nutritional, or something that went wrong during development randomly. I have no clue. Okay. Joseph says, what's the suggestion, folks? Get the Devil's Hole pupfish. Oh, I know. I didn't think you were doing that. All right, it's 8:31, so we've got to shut this down. Let's start by thanking our moderators. Thanks for being here every week and moderating. What a service you do for me and this channel and the folks that enjoy being here. We appreciate that so much. If you're a member of the channel, if you're a Danio or Danioella, or a member of the Fishmonger crew, because I haven't changed that yet, thanks for being here. If you gave away memberships, thanks for doing that. That's awesome. If you threw money at us in the form of super chats, we appreciate every penny. It all makes a difference. And by the way, check out the 4th of July barbecue at the Dan's Fish Channel community page if you want to hang out with some fish nerds here at the Dan's Fish Warehouse. Once a year, 4th of July weekend, we open that up to the public. And we feed you. We'll barbecue for you. Where was I? Let's see here. Oh yeah. If you were active in the chat, thanks for making this a delightful place to hang out. If you were just lurking, I still love you. Hail the Lurker Nation. If you're listening on the replay, hello from the past. And if you're listening to the podcast, thanks for listening. That's it. We'll be back next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Until then, I hope you have a fantastic week. Bye-bye, folks.